was the greatest of the scholastic philosophers. He produced a comprehensive synthesis of Christian theology and Aristotelian philosophy that influenced Roman Catholic doctrine for centuries and was adopted as the official philosophy of the Church in 1917. This is the Claretian Institute of Philosophy. It's a college in Nigeria, affiliated to the Roman Catholic Church, that teaches only one topic, a 4-year degree course in philosophy. The college cites Aquinas as its inspiration, so of course anyone trained here should understand logic and scholasticism. Or so you'd think. The scholastics used Aristotelian logic to try and make sense of the Bible's many contradictions. Thomas Aquinas was one of scholasticism's most famous adherents. Well, I've been interacting with a self-proclaimed Christian minister from Nigeria on Facebook for a little while. This man, I'll call him Mark, well, that is his name, claims to have been educated at Claretian in philosophy, and yet his contributions to the site aren't just unworthy of such an education, they're downright deceitful. He spends his time misrepresenting and insulting atheists about whom he generalises, and yet, when challenged, seems quite unable to make or even to understand a logical argument. It was his habit of attacking atheists with memes like these that made me decide to take him on. I got tired of his sanctimonious self-promotion on the back of such obvious malice and lies, so I thought I'd challenge him on it. The discussion we had centred around Paley's watchmaker fallacy, an old case for creationism devised by Rev William Paley in the 19th century. It goes like this. You're walking on a beach and you come across a pocket watch in the sand. Is it possible that nobody made it, that it just evolved there? Of course it needed a creator. If that's the case, then surely you, the animal kingdom, and all the rest of the natural world needed a creator too. That creator is God. It's a silly argument, easily debunked, and yet this master of logic and scholasticism, this alumni of Claretian, seem to think it should be taken seriously. In logic terms, it's what's known as a composition fallacy. The fallacy is that the whole, in this case the universe, must possess all the same qualities and characteristics as all of its parts. So, since the watch is part of the universe, the set of all things, then the larger set of all things must be identical to it. So confident was he, superficial thinker that he is, that he suggested I should try to debunk it. So here we are. There are many versions of Paley's watch fallacy. There's the 747 in the junkyard example, the Mount Rushmore example, and countless others. The one Mark seemed to think was so convincing was about a meal. It goes like this. The best reply to an atheist is to give him a good dinner and ask him if he believes there is a cook. Well, if that's the best this guy can do, and it pretty much is, then he really is leaning on a broken stick. Here's the rebuttal. First we'll take the dinner without a cook example, and then we'll relate it to the full creationist argument itself. We begin with the observation that the meal exists. Then we have a candid explanation it was prepared by a cook. We have experiential understanding, because we've vast experiences of cooks preparing meals, and we understand the process of meal preparation. We have empirical evidence. There are the remains of food preparation together with leftover ingredients in the kitchen. The cook says she made the meal. There is no evidence to suggest the meal came to exist by any other means. So the conclusion is that the cook prepared the meal. Then we have a second candidate explanation. The meal exists, but it came to exist by supernatural means. Well, in terms of experiential understanding, we have no previous experience of meals being created supernaturally, and no idea what the process would be to do so. In terms of empirical evidence, well, we have the remains of food preparation together with the leftover ingredients in the kitchen. The cook says she made the meal. There's no evidence to suggest the meal came to exist by any other means. And so the conclusion is the meal did not come to exist by supernatural means. That's all pretty straightforward, isn't it? But now let's apply the same process to the creationist argument itself. The observation is that the natural world exists. The candidate explanation is that the natural world came to exist via natural forces. Well, we understand from scientific disciplines such as cosmology, geology, archaeology, radioactive dating, biology, genetics, evolution, and many more complementary fields how the natural world came to exist. We have evidence from DNA sequencing and similarities across species. We have ring species, tectonic shifts, predictions and subsequent discoveries in the geological record. Virology and other branches of medicine all provide evidence of natural processes forming the modern natural world. We're even getting close to understanding abiogenesis too. So the obvious conclusion is that the natural world did come to exist via natural forces. The second candidate explanation is the wizard did it. God did it. Well, we have no experience of any God existing, let alone of any God actually creating anything. We have no empirical evidence of God doing anything. Only claims that aspects of the natural world might be attributable to a God, but claims are not evidence. So the obvious conclusion is that God, the wizard, did not create the natural world. In an earlier video I talked about Occam's razor, intended to root out another potential logical fallacy, the non sequitur. Click the card above to watch that one if you're unsure what it means. It's very relevant here, as this philosopher would have known had he actually studied even the most basic philosophy, or the work of Aristotle or the scholastics. So how did the good minister respond when I questioned him about why he thought such a superficial meme would be taken seriously? He obfuscated, he accused, he avoided, and he lied. Oh yeah, and he made some very basic errors in propositional logic. Abelard and Aquinas would be spinning in their graves. But there was one thing he never did, despite several direct requests from me. He never committed to stop lying about atheists. I don't doubt that as this guy's ministry business grows, he'll make a great deal of money from his activities. I'm also pretty sure he'll sleep well at night. I'm not at all convinced that he'll ever be particularly honest, though. I'm Stuart Sorensen, and this is the God-Free Guide. If you found this video useful, please like and share, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It will really help me out if you do. Thank you for listening.